Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Can you imagine being told that the key to success is to embrace failure? That's kind of the wild wisdom that Napoleon Hill shares in his book, The 12 Miracles of Life. So if you're liking what you're hearing so far, please like, subscribe, and share this deep dive with your friends. So today we're going to be exploring some of these crazy ideas. Hill talks about turning failure into a good thing, and some other really cool miracles. We'll be talking about like unseen forces and stuff, and even the power of, well, let's just say there's a chapter on harnessing a certain type of energy.
One thing that really hits me is the wide range of people that loved Hill's work. I mean, you've got Supreme Court justices alongside people like Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, and William Wrigley Jr. They all loved Hill's ideas, so it's not just some self-help guru preaching to the choir. It's something that resonated across all walks of life.
Yeah, he really tapped into something universal.
Mm.
And you can see that in his outlook on life. Like in the About Life section, he talks about facing challenges with laughter and making a song out of defeat. It's all about finding that joy that makes you resilient.
Yeah, it's like he's setting the stage for those miracles, the impossible things we can do when we change how we see things. And one of the first miracles he talks about is growth through eternal change. He says change is important for progress, both personally and as a society.
Makes you think about all the times we resist change, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And Hill even uses the example of the Ford Motor Company. Young Henry Ford embraced innovation and made the company what it is, but his grandfather clung to the old ways. It makes you wonder what opportunities we might be missing by not changing.
Absolutely. And maybe the most interesting miracle Hill talks about is that failure may be a blessing. He tells the story of Alexander Graham Bell. Bell was trying to invent a hearing aid and ended up inventing the telephone. All those failures at one thing led to an amazing invention.
That's so cool. Really makes you think differently about all the times you felt like you failed. Hill even shares a personal story about how he felt like a failure when he didn't inherit money from his rich uncle. But later on, he realized that making his own path had better rewards. Makes you wonder what good things, as Hill calls them, seeds of equivalent benefit, might be hidden in our own failures.
That's a great question. It makes us look beyond the disappointment of setbacks and see the potential for growth and new opportunities. And Hill's own life is proof of that. He turned his early struggles into fuel for his success.
Okay, so we've talked about change and failure, but now let's get into one of the more mystical miracles Hill talks about, unseen guides.
This is where Hill's work gets really fascinating. He goes beyond just talking about these guides. He shares his own experiences with them and even names specific guides for different parts of life, like money, health, and peace of mind. And what's amazing is that he's not alone in this. People like Thomas Edison and Elmer R. Gates, both brilliant guys, also said that unseen forces played a part in their work.
It's kind of crazy. Edison even thought that thoughts stay in the ether and people who tune their minds to the right frequency can access them. It's like he believed there's this invisible world of knowledge and inspiration we can tap into. Have you ever felt like you were being guided by something you couldn't see or explain?
Yeah, I think we've all had those moments where things just work out perfectly, or we suddenly get an idea that leads us in the right direction. It's hard to explain, but it makes you wonder about things we can't see or understand.
Exactly. And Hill isn't afraid to talk about these mysterious parts of success. In fact, he even talks about something that might surprise some people. The miracle of transmuting the creative force of sex.
It's a delicate subject for sure, and we need to be careful and respectful. But Hill believed that sexual energy is super powerful, and not just for, well, its obvious purpose. He said it can be channeled to achieve goals using things like visualization and redirecting desire.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about things. Hill was a man of his time, and some of his ideas might seem outdated today, but the important thing is that he was exploring the full potential of humans, even the parts that are often seen as taboo.
Yeah, and we may not agree with everything he says, but I think it's important to consider his message, that we have a lot of energy inside us, and learning to use that energy in all its forms can help us achieve our goals.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from embracing change and seeing failure differently, to exploring the idea of unseen guides, and even tapping into, well, let's just say, unexpected sources of energy. But Hill doesn't stop there. He goes on to talk about even more amazing miracles, offering insights on overcoming poverty, finding wisdom in death, and leaving a legacy that matters.
And we'll dive into those fascinating topics in the next part of our deep dive into the 12 miracles of life. So stay tuned because there's much more wisdom to unpack. Welcome back to our deep dive into Napoleon Hill's The 12 Miracles of Life. We've already found some really thought-provoking ideas, but Hill doesn't stop there. He He keeps pushing the boundaries of conventional thinking, going beyond your typical self-help stuff.
You're right, it's not just about goals. And Money Hill talks about deeper stuff, like the miracle he calls nature's universal cure for all human ills.
Mhm.
And that cure is, uh, well, time.
Exactly. Time has its own chapter, a whole miracle about its power. It's cool how Hill presents time not just as a straight line, but as a force of nature. It can heal wounds, change perspectives, and even work for us if we get its laws.
Yeah, like time heals all wounds. But Hill takes it further. He's saying time actively changes things, not just watches them happen. He even says time favors those who follow the natural laws of the universe. Like we can use the power of time if we understand its rhythms and cycles.
That's a great point. And that idea of following nature's rhythms takes us to another big miracle. Hill talks about wisdom robs death of its sting. This isn't about cheating death. It's about facing death with wisdom and acceptance.
This chapter really got to me. It's easy to avoid thinking about death, but Hill says we should embrace the whole of life, knowing death is a natural part. He even says that being afraid of death is like insulting the Creator, like we're questioning the whole plan of the universe.
It's a perspective that can be freeing and empowering. By accepting that we'll die, we can stop being afraid and really live in the moment.
And that goes back to embracing change, right? The more we do, the more we learn, the wiser we become. And that wisdom helps us face life's challenges, even death, with more understanding and peace.
Absolutely. Hill shows us how life is a journey of evolution where the good and the bad help us grow and get wiser. He emphasizes staying positive, even facing death, encouraging us to find meaning in our lives and leave something good behind.
It reminds us that we can't control how long we live, but we can control how we live. And that brings us back to the practical stuff Hill teaches. He doesn't just talk philosophy. He gives us tools like the idea of definiteness of purpose.
Right. Hill says it's super important to have clear goals and a strong desire to reach them. It's like having a map for your life, a guide for your choices and actions. Hill's own life is an example. He wanted to study success, faced a lot of problems, but finally achieved his goal of sharing what he learned with everyone, making a real difference.
And speaking of making a difference, Hill talks about service. He says real success isn't just about yourself. It's about helping others, leaving the world better than you found it. He believed the most successful people are those who help the most people. His own work shows that he spent his life helping others achieve their dreams.
Absolutely. It reminds us that success isn't about being alone. It's about working together, helping out, and making things better for others. And Hill says we don't have to do huge things. It can be simple things like being kind, helping someone out, or using what we're good at to make someone's day better.
So we've gone through Hill's ideas about time as a cure, wisdom facing death, having a clear purpose, and the power of helping others. But Hill has even more miracles to share, each one giving a unique perspective on how to have a truly fulfilling life.
And in the last part of our deep dive, we'll look at some of the most personal and maybe even controversial miracles. Hill talks about exploring themes of love, faith, and how our thoughts can shape our world. Stay tuned for the final part of our exploration into the 12 miracles of life. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the 12 miracles of life. We've covered a lot from embracing failure to understanding time and the importance of helping others. But there are a few more miracles that Hill talks about that we need to unpack.
You're right, we've looked at the practical and the philosophical, but Hill also goes into some really personal stuff,
Yeah.
like the miracle of cosmic habit force, which sounds kind of intense.
It is. This miracle is all about how our thoughts can shape our reality. Hill really believed that what we think about creates our reality, that what we focus on grows. He thought we could actually change our lives by using the power of our thoughts.
So it's like the law of attraction. You get what you focus on, good or bad.
Oh.
But Hill takes it further. He says our thoughts actually affect the world around us, creating habits and patterns that shape our experiences.
Right. He calls it cosmic habit force because he thinks it's a universal law, a force of nature that controls how our thoughts become real in our lives. And this idea connects to another miracle he talks about, faith.
So we're talking about faith, but not really in a religious way, right?
All right. Hill says faith is believing in something you can't see or prove. He believed that faith is super important for achieving anything big. It gives us the courage to take risks, to keep going when things are tough, and to finally reach our goals.
It's about believing in yourself, in your dreams, and believing that even when things seem impossible, there's a way to make them happen. It's that feeling inside that makes you act and creates momentum.
Exactly. And Hill thought that faith is like a muscle that gets stronger when you use it. The more we use our faith, the more powerful it gets.
So how do we make that faith muscle stronger? Does Hill give us any tips on how to do that?
He does. He'll suggest things like visualization affirmations and autosuggestion. All of these are meant to train our subconscious minds to have positive beliefs and expectations. It's about constantly filling our minds with good thoughts and images so that our faith becomes really strong.
Like teaching ourselves to believe in the impossible, to see what's possible when others don't. And speaking of possibilities, Hill talks about the power of love in his last miracle, love, the elixir of life.
Yeah, for Hill, love wasn't just a romantic thing, it was a strong force for good, the thing that drives all great achievements. He believed that love could heal, inspire, and push us to be our best.
So we're not just talking about romantic love, but a bigger kind of love, right? Love for people, love for our work, love for life itself.
Exactly. Hill saw love as the ultimate driving force, the energy that connects us all and fuels our creativity, our passion, and our desire to make a difference in the world.
It's a beautiful way to end a book that's all about being successful and fulfilled.
Mm.
It reminds us that in the end, it's not just about what we achieve, but about the love we share and how we affect other people's lives.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great reminder that even in a book about reaching our goals and dreams, the most important miracle might be the power of love to bring us together and inspire us to create a better world.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into the 12 miracles of life. We've explored some really deep ideas, from the power of failure to the importance of a positive mindset, from the influence of unseen forces to the transformative power of love. It's been an amazing journey, and we hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we have.
We'd love to hear from you. What was your favorite miracle from Hill's book? What really spoke to you? Tell us in the comments and let's keep talking about this.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep believing in the power of those miracles inside you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.